Hey, what's going on, guys? Billy Sky over here, getting ready for a Bhagavad Gita class this Thursday evening. And yeah, I'm just hanging out in my truck right now on break. Been a long week, been a hell of a week. Went up to Colorado this last weekend, visit my little brother, play some music, get a collab going on. And man, it was tough, man. It was a long drive back. Didn't get much sleep, and then got a flat tire. Had to stay in Albuquerque, and then the next day having to drive another 7 hours. It was intense, let me tell you. And this last segment of the journey is the most intense. So, it's not the worst thing I've done in life. Not the most hardest thing I've ever done. That would be going and looking for sea turtles at 3 in the morning in the Philippines. Jesus, that was insane. I'm taking some Alpha Brain right now to keep myself awake. I'm taking 2 of these. It takes about 30 minutes to kick in. It's not like coffee or anything. It's just kind of a passive. It's called Alpha GPC. It's like a nootropic. It helps your brain stay awake and alert. So it's one of my secret weapons. But I usually just do it on Thursdays because it usually takes me like a day to recover afterwards. I don't want to overdo my brain and have to take it again another day. It's the next day. I want to just rest and relax. And, life in the material world is difficult. And no matter what the situation is, there's going to be a struggle. So, but, the name of the game, we're always trying to rearrange our situations and find a better situation, but we should know that we're never going to be able to truly do it, and so therefore we should take shelter in the spiritual energy as our first and foremost priority. And then we can focus on some side questing as well in our spare time. Most people make the side quest the main quest. That's literally the biggest problem with our culture and society. The side quest has become the main quest. The side quest being that search for the perfect person, the perfect partner. And to such a degree that people are so pressured by society and their family to find a mate that they will buy into it and they'll get married at a young age, and they'll try to convince others that they're happy, and they'll basically try to advertise and promote this idea to the rest of their friends that are not married, that, oh, you should just get married and be like me, and then when you're like me, you'll be happy, in this way they promote the idea that you can find a perfect mate in this world. And it's just an utter lie. It's utter nonsense. It's something that they've bought into, and then shortly after they realize that this person can't fulfill me, can't make me happy. And most of the time in this country it ends in divorce, unfortunately. So it's like 3/4 of the time now. The rate gets higher and higher every year. And it's because people are constantly trying to change their situation to become satisfied. If I just change this, I'll be happy. If I just change this, I'll be happy. I mean, that's why people go to college. It's like, here's an institution that you're going to pay them $50,000 to teach you something, but they just, you're just thinking, oh, if I just get that, then that'll be it. Everyone's striving and searching for something different. And so then we have all this business capitalizing off of it. This is it. That's it. Well, this is it. We'll try that. We'll try this. Just keep trying things over and over and over and over. Spend your money. And then do it all over again after you die. Wheel of birth and death. So it's a crazy madhouse. It's a circus. It's a fucking circus out there. Everyone has their own different idiosyncrasies, thoughts, desires, things they're attached to, things that they want to try to achieve, and it's all just mental speculation. I mean, it's practically all masturbation. Everyone's just out there stroking their own boat, into oblivion. And it's insane how a moment of clarity seems to be nowhere to be found. And even amongst those who have had moments of clarity, it's still challenging, it's still a struggle. But at least we have hope. At least we have spiritual guidance, and we have a method by which to escape the madhouse and go to a place where things really kick ass. We're trying to get ourselves into this most badass party and get an entryway and get a ticket to that party. That's the goal of human life. To prepare our consciousness to become eligible to enter the spiritual kingdom. That is what we're doing here in the human form of life. Okay? So, by doing that, let's read the Bhagavad Gita as it is. Okay? This book is a holy book, sacred book, non-different from the Lord himself, and reading it will purify us, and we'll be worshiping the Lord with our intelligence by reading this book. So join me with this bhajan. We're beginning to read the introduction to the Bhagavad Gita. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We've gotten all the way until page 4. So, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada just explained that a devotee can be in a relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in one of 5 different ways. One can be a devotee in a passive state. One can be a devotee in an active state. One may be a devotee as a friend. One may be a devotee as a parent. One may be a devotee as a conjugal lover. Arjuna was in a relationship with the Lord as friend. Of course, there's a gulf of difference between this friendship and the friendship found in the material world. This is transcendental friendship which cannot be had by everyone. Of course, everyone has a particular relationship with the Lord, and that relationship is evoked by the perfection of devotional service. But in the present status of our life, we have not only forgotten the Supreme Lord, but we have forgotten our eternal relationship with the Lord. Every living being out of many, many billions and trillions of living beings has a particular relationship with the Lord eternally. That is called Swarup. By the process of devotional service, one can revive that Swarup, and that stage is called Swarup Siddhi, perfection of one's constitutional position. So Arjuna was a devotee, and he was in touch with the Supreme Lord in friendship. How Arjuna accepted this Bhagavad Gita should be noted. His manner of acceptance is given in the 10th chapter. Arjuna uvacha param brahma param dhamma pavitram paramam bhavan purusham shashvatam divyam haridevam ajam vibhum ahustvam rishayaha sarve devarsir nararas tataha ashto devala vyashaha swayam chaiva pravishi me sarvam edhad ritam manye yanmam vadasi keshava nahite bhagavan vyaktim vidur devana nanavaha. Arjuna said, "You are the Supreme Brahman, the ultimate, the supreme abode and purifier, the absolute truth, and the eternal divine person. You are the primal God, transcendental and original, and you are the unborn and all-pervading beauty. All the great sages like Narada, Ashta, Devala, and Vyasa proclaim this of you, and now you yourself are declaring it to me. O Krishna, I totally accept as truth all that you have told me. Neither the gods nor demons, O Lord, know thy personality." Bhagavad Gita chapter 10, text 12 to 14. After hearing Bhagavad Gita from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Arjuna accepted Krishna as Param Brahma, the Supreme Brahman. Every living being is Brahman, but the Supreme Living Being, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the Supreme Brahman. Param Dham means that he is the supreme rest or abode of everything. Pavitram means he is pure, untainted by material contamination. Purusham means that he is the supreme enjoyer. Divyam, transcendental. Adidevam, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ajam, the unborn, and Vibhum, the greatest, the all-pervading. Now, one may think that because Krishna was a friend of Arjuna, Arjuna was telling him all this by way of flattery. But Arjuna, just to drive out this kind of doubt from the minds of the readers of Bhagavad Gita, substantiates these praises in the next verse, when he says that Krishna is accepted as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, not only by himself, but by authorities like the sage, Narada, Ashtadevala, Vyasadeva, and so on. These are great personalities who distribute the Vedic knowledge as it is accepted by all acharyas. Therefore, Arjuna tells Krishna that he accepts whatever he says to be completely perfect. Sarvam etadvitam manye. I accept everything you say to be true. Arjuna also says that the personality of the Lord is very difficult to understand, and that he cannot be known even by the great demigods. This means that the Lord cannot even be known by personalities greater than human beings. So how can a human being understand Sri Krishna without becoming his devotee? Therefore, Bhagavad Gita should be taken up in a spirit of devotion. One should not think that he is equal to Krishna, nor should he think that Krishna is an ordinary personality or even a very great personality. Lord Shri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, at least theoretically, according to the statements of Bhagavad Gita, or the statements of Arjuna, the person who is trying to understand the Bhagavad Gita. We should therefore, at least theoretically, accept Sri Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and with that submissive spirit, we can understand the Bhagavad Gita. Unless one reads the Bhagavad Gita in a submissive spirit, it's very difficult to understand the Bhagavad Gita because it is a great mystery. Just what is the Bhagavad Gita? The purpose of the Bhagavad Gita is to deliver mankind from the nescience of material existence. Every man is in difficulty in so many ways, as Arjuna was in difficulty in having to fight the battle of Kurukshetra. Arjuna surrendered unto Sri Krishna, and consequently this Bhagavad Gita was spoken. Not only Arjuna, but every one of us is full of anxieties because of this material existence. Our very existence is in the atmosphere of non-existence. Actually, we are not meant to be threatened by non-existence. Our existence is eternal, but somehow or other we are put into asat. Asat refers to that which does not exist. Out of so many human beings who are suffering, there are a few who are actually inquiring about their position as to what they are and why they are put in this awkward position, and so on. Unless one is awakened to this position of questioning his suffering, unless he realizes that he doesn't want suffering but rather wants to make a solution to all sufferings, then one is not to be considered a perfect human being. Humanity begins when this sort of inquiry is awakened in one's mind. In the Brahma Samhita, this inquiry is in the Brahma Sutra, this inquiry is called Brahma Jisnasa. Every activity of the human being is to be considered a failure unless he inquires about the nature of the Absolute. Therefore, those who begin to question why they are suffering, or where they come from, or where they shall go after death, are proper students for understanding the Bhagavad Gita. The sincere student should also have a firm respect for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a student was Arjuna. Okay, I think we can stop there because that is just incredible information, and it says all that we need to know right there. So, Bhagavad Gita should be taken up in a spirit of devotion, in a spirit of submissiveness, in humility. Okay, how can we be humble? It's a challenging process. Okay, this is science to humility. And in Lord Chaitanya's third prayer, he describes that one should chant the holy names of the Lord in a humble state of mind, feeling oneself to be lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and ready to offer all respects to others, never desiring any respect for oneself. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. So this is kind of a clue as to what this humble state of mind feels like. Feeling lower than the straw in the street, feeling the most depraved, feeling that I am the worst one of them all, and I'm not better than anyone, you know? It's hard to feel that way when you grow up and your mom and dad tell you how amazing you are every day. Okay? And they're worried about your self-esteem if you don't feel good about yourself. Oh, Johnny doesn't think he's as good as the other kids. Oh my God, I'm worried about his self-esteem. Johnny, you're amazing, Johnny. Let's write down the 10 things
that you're the most amazing at, Johnny. Okay? Why don't we write those down? Okay, Johnny, every day in the mirror, I want you to look at those 10 things and just tell yourself how amazing you are, okay? Because you're my little son, you're amazing. Okay? I mean, that's how many fucking houses are like that in America? They're all fucking like that. This is such a bullshit way to raise your kids. You're committing violence on these fucking people. You know, this society perpetuates violence in its subterranean ways, in so many different ways, and it's unbeknownst to everyone. Everyone's fucking oblivious to how this is degrading and how this hurts people, and how this puffs, this arrogance, this feeling that you're better than everyone is actually it's a form of spiritual impoverishment. Like, you ever go like into a ghetto, a poor area, no one has money and no one has opportunities. Opportunities are really the only way to get out. And no one has any money and no one has any opportunities to get money, therefore they're stuck and they're enslaved. Okay? This is the same thing that's going on in this country. America is spiritually impoverished and there's no way to get out. There's no spiritual wealth anywhere, and there's no spiritual opportunities anywhere. And the culture is such that if you try to put forth a spiritual opportunity to someone or try to distribute spiritual wealth, it becomes frowned upon, looked down on, shunned, quelled, set aside. It's very, very unfortunate. Everyone is just completely entranced in trying to enjoy, and in order to try, have you guys seen American resumes? I mean, other countries are not like this, where you embellish, and just try to make yourself out to be the most fancy fucking God's gift that you could be, you know. But in America, that's how resumes are supposed to be. We want to be like, oh my God, this guy was a fucking astronaut and a fucking geophysicist, and his father was a lawyer, and he grew up reading, he grew up as a doctor as well. You know, it's just so much fucking stupid, just lies, you know. It's like, in job interviews, they're like, you know, how did you name an example of how you handled a bad situation, and how you overcame that bad situation, you know. And it's just like, I'm just fed up with it, guys, you know. I'm fed up with it because it's lacking in spiritual understanding. It's lacking in what we need to do is we actually need to glorify humility. We need to find those individuals that have humility, that have cultivated it, and we need to be looking up to them the way that we look up to these celebrities and these rappers and musicians, and the way that we glorify and put them on a pedestal and look up to them. We need to do that to the people who are actually humble and the most humble. And that way we can have a trajectory of, we can actually try to progress in our own humility, and then thereby gain access to this wealth of spiritual knowledge. But in the current situation, all that we can associate with is hedonistic, arrogant, materialistic people. And therefore our values are going to become just like those values of those people that we associate with. And what do they value? They value sense gratification. They value the ability to enjoy and do whatever desires come into the mind and the body at any time, just to be able to fulfill those desires. That's why we have Amazon. We can just order anything right away, you know. But who is it that values spirit? Who is it that understands that they're not the body, and they value they value activities which bring an eternal benefit for you, the living entity? That is the people we need to associate with. That is the people who we need to look up to and study their works. And we need to undertake this not as a process of, my mind tells me that I feel like doing it and I want to do it. We undertake it as a process of what's called tapasya, austerity. Understanding that I have to make a sacrifice in order to achieve a result that I want. A beneficial result requires a sacrifice. So that's what I'm doing. I sacrifice my
time. I sacrifice what I want to do. I don't just play chess instead of playing chess, instead of watching TV, instead of doing whatever it is that I want to do or feel like doing. I set that aside. I sacrifice that time, and I engage in associating with people with spiritual values, and I engage in listening to reading the Bhagavad Gita, and I engage in chanting the holy name of the Lord. So this is a very important message, and I hope that you consider this and do not ignore it. For ignoring it will just mean that you will pass into oblivion continually, and you'll become like another one of these 1,000 madmen that I'm looking at that are just dancing around and they're sad, you know. They're you know, you can't really pin them down to one emotion. They're going through a tornado of emotions, you know, but they're trapped here and they're away from their friend Krishna, and they're missing out on the most fun ever. So why not snap out of it, you know? Get it together. Let's get it together. Alright. I didn't bring my guitar, so that's going to conclude the class for tonight. Next time we'll try to get the kirtan going. Gauranga. Let's do some breathing, okay? Gauranga breathing. Ready? Breathe in. Gauranga. Say Gauranga as you breathe out. Gauranga. Big breath in. Breathe out. Gauranga. Let's do it 3 more times. Ready? 3 more times together. Gauranga. 2 more times. Gauranga. Last time. Gauranga. Haribol.